Steininger, and I am honored to be cooking with Kosta Browne Winery at CWC, the restaurant in Cincinnati, Ohio. First and foremost, thank you very much for having me. Secondly, I'm really excited to get to do this with you guys. I've kind of decided to do a dish that's super simple, but it really showcases how great the wine is, which it's amazing. So first, I get to cook with the El Diablo Russian River Valley Chardonnay, which is definitely the wine that I would choose to be sipping at all parts of the year and at home. The wise Brandon Rosen said, "You always start the recipe with pouring yourself a glass of wine." So don't you worry, I took his advice. So today we're going to make a very simple poached pear using the Chardonnay with the pine nut brittle. The whole goal of this is to keep it as simple as possible to really showcase the wine and complement the flavors that are naturally already in the wine. This wine is delicious. It is the perfect balance of acidity and lightness, but then it has such body and complexity. There are hints of honeycomb and even apple blossoms, lychee, everything that you could crave, essentially, in a bottle. And I just wanted to make sure that I created a dish that really showcased all of that. So the ingredients are simple, they're minimal, and this is a very easy dish for you to do at home. So to start, you wanna start with your wine. Essentially, you wanna use as much as you're willing to share, / use any leftover wine, which I know is oxymoronic, but about 2 cups is all you need for this recipe. So you just put it in a pot. I like to do a smaller sauce pot. This way, it kind of consolidates the space and you don't need to use as much wine because it encompasses the pears a lot easier. And then I like to add honey to this. So this is the part of the recipe where it's a choose your own adventure. You can add as much or as little honey as you want to because you make it as sweet or whatever you're craving at the moment. So to start, I'm going to put this on the burner and kind of turn it up to medium-high heat. You want to start getting it to the point where it wisps on the side but doesn't get to a complete boil. Okay, this is maybe the most difficult part of this entire recipe, which it's not difficult at all, which is the whole point. So I was able to get Asian pears at the market. They're in season and a perfect complement to this. It is crisp and juicy, and the more in season you can find them, the less length of cooking time it takes, which makes this an even better recipe if it doesn't take a lot of grueling and all of that good stuff in the kitchen. So I'm just going to do 2 Asian pears, and you just want to peel it to remove the skin. If you want to fortify the poaching liquid with more of the Asian pear flavor, feel free to save these and actually add it to the wine. It'll just kind of add to the simmer and infuse more flavor. So next, cut off the tops and the bottoms. And then what I like to do is cut them into quarters and then just do a clean cut to remove the core and the seeds. Okay, so this is kind of a chefy trick, but it's now that you want to do this step. So I like to do little cuts into the pear. And what it does is when it's finished cooking, the pear will be so tender that it'll cut, when you cut it, it'll kind of fall apart too much. So if you cut it now and leave the top intact, then when you pull it from the poaching liquid, it will beautifully fan, whether you're adding this to a tart or over ice cream, how we're going to be doing it. Okay, as you can see, so the poaching liquid has just started coming to a simmer. It's not fully boiling, it's just bubbling a little bit. And now I'm going to add the pears to it and reduce the temperature down to a low simmer. Just if you cook it too high, too hard, too fast, the pears will actually fall apart in the poaching liquid, and that does not equal good eats. You still want to maintain some sort of texture. This is also a really great time if you want to kind of play with whatever you have in your own pantry. If you wanted to add cinnamon sticks, fortify the flavor of the wine with a little bit of lemon zest, star anise, anything you have, warming spices especially, are delicious to add to the poaching liquid. Next, we're going to do the brittle. So the brittle seems like it might be worrisome or scary, but you just have to think about caramel essentially is burnt sugar. And if you can get over this fact and just know that your whole goal is to burn the sugar, then you're gonna nail it. Obviously, there's like a 2 burnt flavor that you want to avoid, but burnt sugar, just caramel, burnt sugar, you got this. Okay, so first I'm actually going to toast the pine nuts in the pan. The whole thought being that then the flavor of the pine nuts, the oils will be on the pan and it'll be delicious and infuse more so into the caramel. So I have a dry cast iron pan. So I'm using pine nuts right now because of the butteriness. It really complements the kind of brioche buttery notes that are already in the wine. Because there's a lot of fat and oil already in pine nuts, you want to keep a close eye because they will definitely scorch and burn too soon. If you do burn your nuts, then you need to start over. So all the ingredients that you're going to need for the brittle, you're going to need the pine nuts that you're already toasting, and then just white sugar. I like to add a little bit of honey. It really helps with the consistency of the caramel and the brittle, and then it also infuses the flavor, and then when everything is put together, it's just the most amazing thing ever. When most of your nuts are toasted, you want to pull them from the burner. This is why I like to use a cast iron skillet because it holds the residual heat and makes kind of the caramel making process a little bit easier. So you want to pull them when they just become fragrant and toasted. To this, add sugar, just to cover the bottom of your pan, and a little bit of honey. We're going to finish with the salt, so you don't need to add it now. And then you're gonna add this back to the burner, kind of medium heat. You don't wanna go too hard, too fast, or else it'll burn and everything will become acrid. But caramel, burnt sugar, you got this. So back to the burner. So once the nuts are toasted, the caramel is golden brown, everything smells amazing. You want to pull it from the burner and just grab a piece of parchment. I recommend parchment or a silpat or anything like that just to help make the when it cools situation a lot easier. And because we would like to eat this sooner than later, it is important to kind of smear the brittle into a single layer, and that will help the cooling process. Also, while everything is hot and still cooling, this is when you want to add the salt. You don't want to add too much salt because you definitely want this to be a sweet dish, but the salt kind of breaks up the monotony, if you will, sometimes with a dessert. So just a little bit of salt goes a long way, and it like explodes flavor elements in your mouth. After 3 minutes in the refrigerator, it has completely become solid. The pears are officially finished, as you can see. The thing is, you'll know they're done, number one, by being tender, but number two, they become kind of translucent, and that's how you know they're done. Also, you can taste them, all that good stuff. So just to finish the dish, put the pear with the ice cream. See, fancy fanning situation. And then break some of the brittle up. For the complete recipe, make sure you check out kvkitchenseries.com. Not only will you get the details for this dish, you'll get to see all of my friends and the amazing things that they're cooking. And make sure you tune in to Kosta Browne Winery on their Instagram and all other handles so you can see the interview that I'm really excited to tell you all the inside secrets. I can't imagine what I'm going to say. So, in the meantime,